Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I thought it was time to pull out some accessories, some gadgets, some gizmos that we've been using for our iPhones, our iPads, all of our devices. It's accessory time on iOS today. Stay tuned.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by IT Pro TV. IT Pro TV has everything you need to level up your IT skills while you enjoy the journey. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription when you use the code TWIT30 at checkout. Woo! Ha-ha, hee-hee. Welcome to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, iPadOS, tvOS, watchOS, HomePodOS. Look, it's all the OSs that Apple has on offer. We love to talk about all of those different operating systems, as well as the devices that run those operating systems. Our iPhones, our iPads, our Apple Watches, our Apple TVs, our HomePods. It's everything. And yeah, that's what we do here on iOS Today. I am one of your hosts. Mikah, Sargent. No, just Mikah Sargent.
And I am Rosemary Orchard with no extra eyes in there today.
That's fine. Well, folks, thank you for joining us today. Look, Rosemary and I obviously get new gizmos and gadgets all the time to use with our devices. We get new devices when they come out in many cases. And I figured it was about time, because it's been a while since we've had an episode where we talk about some of the accessories that we are using with our different Apple devices. So we've put together some different ones that we want to talk about. You may have heard us talk about some of them in the past. It could be the case that, it was one of our app picks our picks of the week at some point, or these may be brand new to you. In any case, these are the ones that we're using regularly and that we think are worth perhaps you picking up yourself. So let's get into things, Rosemary. What is the first thing you want to talk about today for the accessories episode?
Well, the first thing I want to talk about today is a necessary accessory on today's desk, because it's a travel pouch that I use to stash all of my goodies in when I'm traveling. Now, I should note, this looks super chunky right now, and it is, it's a pretty hefty beast because it is full. But this is an Inateck travel pouch, which you can get on Amazon. The price varies. It's currently on sale at $2 off for $30. But keep an eye out using Camel or something similar. It frequently goes on sale. And what I love about this pouch is, first of all, it does open all the way down to the bottom at both sides. And then it's got the lovely little flaps, so stuff doesn't just flop out. But inside, oh my gosh, all of the sections in there, Mikah, all of the different sections. It divides out so that you can easily put different things in different areas. And of course, then that means that, you can pull it open. You can pull it pretty wide. For people who are not watching video at home, this pouch is, I don't know what size this is in American. Mikah, I would guess 25 centimeters by 10 by 15 or so. So somebody could translate that into American. But yeah, this is a pouch of a reasonable size. For context, I have an iPhone 13 Pro case here, and it is a little bit shorter than the case, about as wide as an iPhone 13 Pro is, and then one iPhone 13 Pro in length and one iPhone 13 Pro width for the length of the case. So there we go. That's some context for people who can measure things in iPhones. I don't have a tape measure on hand. How do I not have a tape measure on my desk? But
it's about 3.5 inches wide. It's about just under 10 inches in length, and it's about 6 inches tall, which is 15 centimeters, 9 centimeters, and 25 centimeters respectively. So yeah, this is a really great size. And as you pointed out, I love the idea of that sort of origami fold out method. Yeah. This could pack so much stuff in there.
Yeah, and it will fit something like a Nintendo Switch as well. But I like the fact that it's got pockets of all sizes. So I'm using one of the really skinny pockets for a MagSafe charger here, and that just slides in pretty nicely there, so that it doesn't get lost. And I like the fact that it means that when I'm traveling, I can pull one bag out of my case, I can dump it out on a bed or a chair or a table, and it's open. I can see all the things. And then when it comes to traveling, like it's got a little handle on it, but I can just pull it closed and zip it shut, which I'm going to struggle to do now because I'm trying to do this in midair. But if I was doing it on a table, then I can do it pretty darn quickly and easily, which means that this is ready to go back in my bag so that I can either go home, go somewhere else, or, just go to a friend's house and maybe need some charging gear.
This is a really nice pouch, and now I want it. I will definitely be picking this up.
One of the reasons why I got this, full disclosure, is because it's quite similar to I believe it's Peak Design travel pouch. But of course it is a lower price. So that is definitely worth considering. If people are looking for something similar, I know Bellroy and Waterfield also make some nice pouches. But what I liked about this one is that it's relatively affordable, and I could get it next day from Amazon when I actually desperately needed a new tech pouch because the last one I was using disintegrated, Mikah. It just disintegrated. There was a little hole in it, and it just went everywhere. It's terrible.
That's no fun. All right, let me talk about my first gadget for today. This is a new one for me. It is called the iHealth Air Wireless, let me turn it around, I guess, Pulse Oximeter. So these, it's funny kind of how I ended up wanting to get this pulse oximeter. So I, way back at the beginning of the pandemic, got a pulse oximeter. It is a device that can measure both your pulse rate, but also is there to measure your blood oxygen level. And back in the day, back when the pandemic first kicked off, we had heard that keeping an eye on your blood oxygen level was a good way to know if you were getting far less oxygen than normal, which could be an early indication that you had contracted COVID-19. So I got a pulse oximeter and used it pretty regularly. It was it worked as I needed it to. But I was perusing the health app recently, and I was also, I guess this would have been last year at the very end of the year. I was perusing the health app, and at the same time, I was looking for things on which to spend my remaining FSA. For people who live outside of the United States or people who live in the United States who don't know what that is your flexible spending account that comes with some different benefits as part of your, the company that you work for, or if you have your own stuff. Basically, it is an account of money that is not taxed by the government because you are using it for medical things and only for medical things. So you can use it to buy prescriptions and medications and stuff like that. So I kind of used that as an excuse to make this purchase. And the reason why is because in the heart, I believe it's in the heart section. Now I'm trying to find where that is. It might be in body measurement section of Apple Health. There is no, that's not where it is. There we go. Peripheral Perfusion Index. Goodness gracious. It's under heart. So that's why I couldn't find it, because I was looking for perfusion and not peripheral. So I'll read from Apple. It says, Perfusion Index measures your relative pulse strength at various points on your body, such as your fingertip, your toe, or your earlobe. It can be used to provide a rough estimate of the degree of blood flow at the measurement site. So I came across this, and there were no data points for Perfusion Index. And I was kind of curious what that meant, how that worked. And so I decided to, if you scroll into each of these sections in the health app, and in fact, I don't mind showing you this because there's no data on here, you'll see different options for apps or different devices that can actually provide this information. And so I saw that the iHealth My Vitals app was able to drop this information. So I went and downloaded the iHealth My Vitals app and saw that what it required was one of iHealth's devices. Basically, it's the means by which it communicates with the health app. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go online and I'm going to find one of these devices that will actually be able to measure my peripheral perfusion index, because I am a person who likes to have all of that data available to me if I can, and sort of collecting all of that information together. So long story short, I bought the iHealth Air Wireless Pulse Oximeter. I was able to use my FSA to make that purchase, and I have one now. And it works like most pulse oximeters that you've seen, I'm almost certain, in that it clips on the end of your finger, you press the button, and it starts to measure your blood oxygen saturation and your perfusion index at the same time, as well as monitoring your pulse rate. It has the app that is included, which you can use then to keep track of that information. And then overall, you've got that locked and loaded inside of the Health app for iOS. It's $59.99, $60 in the Amazon store. And again, well worth it for me to be able to use that money that was available, but also because I wanted to have this extra metadata available to me should I ever need it. So that is the iHealth Air Wireless Pulse Oximeter. All right, Rosemary, what have you got next on the list?
Well, next on my list is something small. It's very small, in fact. It's not the AirTag, but it's the holder that this AirTag is in, because I have been looking for something that I can put on maybe the outside of a bag and not worry about it getting pulled off. And a lot of the AirTag holders out there, I've got one here on my desk as an example. This one is a Spigen one. Like it's a little leather thing. And I'm just struggling to get the holder that I put on there from Tom Binoff, but that doesn't matter. But like, it's just basically a leather thing with a metal eyelet in there. And I mean, it's fine, but it's not the most secure of options. And there are other more secure alternatives out there, including this one from Belkin, which I found on the Apple Store. And they are a little bit backed up over here in the UK, but I managed to get this one on Amazon. But you can get them in the Apple Store from Amazon in the US or directly from Belkin. And basically what it is it's a little plastic holder for the AirTag with a metal wire, one of those wrapped metal wires that goes out of the holder and then back into it. So, of course, I suspect the weakest point of failure here now is actually the plastic case that this AirTag is in rather than the wire that it's being attached to. Or let's face it, probably my suitcase is going to be the weak point. But what I really like about this is the way that you remove the AirTag. On the back, there is a little metal sort of screw, which it comes with an Allen key, and you have to unscrew this to get the AirTag out. So it's not that somebody can easily just pop out the AirTag and then bam, like they have an AirTag or your suitcase or whatever it is. But this is actually, it requires a tool, which admittedly not too difficult to get a hold of. It's just a thin Allen key or a hex screw. But it's a nice option to have. And these retail for $19.95 in the Apple Store. But I managed to get mine for, I believe it was £15 on Amazon, and they come in black or white. But especially anybody who's traveling with one of those Pelican cases and wants to keep a track of where it is and wants something hard wearing that they can chuck on it, then this might fit the bill for you. And I'm liking it so far. Obviously, it's not attached to my suitcase right now. I did consider lugging my suitcase in here, but I thought it might make quite a large prop, which would also be quite inconvenient to maneuver around. So I left that outside. But
that is understandable.
It's a nice little holder.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I didn't realize that Belkin had made something that was a little bit more steadfast. I didn't realize for ages either, because I've been looking and like they have the little plastic ones with like a fabric loop or something. And it's like, well, that's just like a pair of scissors and you've cut that off, or, it gets caught on a luggage belt or something and bam, it's gone. And that's not okay. But this, I'm hoping, will just be a little bit more hard wearing against things like that. Though, of course, the other alternative for a lot of people is perhaps put it inside your suitcase. Though, of course, you're going to struggle to hear it if that's the case. But at the very least, it's less likely to get lost. But this is an alternative for people who perhaps want or need to keep their AirTag on the outside of something. Indeed. All right, folks, I think we're going to take a quick break before we come back with loads more accessories that you should be checking out. But I do want to tell you about IT Pro TV. You may have heard of them by now. And if you haven't heard about them, you've got to check them out. If you're looking for an IT development platform to level up your skills, We've got the answer. It's IT Pro TV. We know IT is constantly evolving, and you need the best place to get certified so you're prepared for every new advancement. Are you thinking about getting your CCNA certification? Well, having your CCNA shows you're knowledgeable in networking fundamentals and IP services and security fundamentals and automation and programmability. IT Pro TV has the classes and skills you need in everything Cisco. The month of March is dedicated to Cisco at IT Pro TV. You can check out some of their Cisco courses, including Cisco CCT routing and switching, Cisco CCNA, Cisco CyberOps Associates, Cisco CCNP Enterprise Encore, Cisco CCNP Enterprise NRC, Cisco CCNP Security Score. Look, there are a lot of really great Cisco courses with lots of letters in them because that's how Cisco labels their courses, all available for learning on IT Pro TV. Learn and get certified in IT in a way that works with your schedule and is entertaining. That is what makes IT Pro TV so awesome. They've got 7 studios and they're filming Monday through Friday, constantly filming new content. So you know when you subscribe, whenever you join IT Pro TV, that you are going to be getting new content all the time. Their courses go from the studio to their course library in 24 hours. They make sure you're prepared for your exams by the way of virtual labs and practice tests. And the edutainers, as they call themselves, because they're not just educators, they're also entertaining at the same time. They teach you the most vital IT skills. They're fun, they're entertaining, so you're never going to get bored. And don't forget, your IT team needs to level up and enjoy the journey. So check out an IT Pro TV business plan for your team today. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription when you use the code TWIT30. That's itpro.tv/twit and use code TWIT30 for an additional 30% off for the lifetime of your active subscription. IT Pro TV, build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. Thanks so much to IT Pro TV for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Now, let's get back to the show. Rosemary, why don't you give us a rundown of, 2 or 3 gadgets, a quick little rundown. Because, folks, we were very excited about this episode. Rosemary and I loaded up the show notes with lots of different accessories. So we're going to try to zoom through a couple here.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm going to do quickly is the AirFly from 12 South or something similar. I have the AirFly Pro Duo, which allows you to connect 2 devices through one headphone jack. And this will basically just turn it into Bluetooth, which means that if you want to watch something on a plane and you've only got your AirPods, well, that's how you can do it. Speaking of AirPods, I have the new AirPods 3, which of course I've managed to just misplace on my desk in the last 30 seconds or so because I was cleaning some things as well. But the new AirPods 3 are also really nice. If you're looking for AirPods and you've maybe tried earpods before and you found they were very uncomfortable, then the AirPods have more of a sort of rounded shape. And I find they fit pretty well in my ears and I'm really enjoying them. And as an extra bonus, my mum was really, really pleased to get my old AirPods 2 as her little present as well, because when you're great in my family, then somebody else benefits as well. But the next thing I want to mention is tiny, and this is more for probably friends and family members of our listeners, because I suspect our listeners are people who treat cables well. Because, that let's face it, our listeners are great, wonderful people. But there are always those people, who the cable right where it meets the plastic jack, that's where it starts bending and fraying and things like that. And so I went on Amazon and I found some cute little guys that you can just slide onto the cable. So this one is a penguin, which has got a little slit in him, but don't worry, it's okay. He's going to get some food in a second if I can do this on air. And then you just pop the cable inside and you slide it up to the mouth. And basically the idea is that he just attempts to relieve some of the stress that's put on the cable. Of course, you do end up with a slightly different stress point down here, but the penguin itself is flexible. There's also sharks, hedgehogs, a little green, I think it's chameleon for you, Mikah, which is just there to adorn your cable, but they're pretty handy, pretty cute. And there's lots of different options out there on Amazon. You can get 10 for 10, 15 bucks usually. Just have a look if you know that there are people in your life who abuse cables horribly, because they will. There's always somebody who will abuse cables horribly, and maybe this will save them. There, you can get different ones for different cable sizes. Of course, braided cables are another great alternative for that. But this, especially if you've got children, like who doesn't want a cute little penguin eating their cable?
Yeah, let's just say someone very close to me who I care about very much was using for the longest time until I found out he was a cable that was just broken to pieces and parts of the wires were exposed. And oh my goodness, until one day, suddenly that cable just disappeared and it was replaced with a brand new one. I imagine the cable fairy came and provided that, but now
Definitely.
the cable fairy might have to come and provide some of these strain relief, these adorable strain relief. What was the official term or the term that you would use?
I mean, I just when I searched them, because I noticed my grandmother has this problem. I don't think she's doing it on purpose. She just coils cables really, really tightly and destroys like the outer casing for them. So I just look for charging cable protectors on Amazon, and that's where I got mine. Mine came in this tiny little case as well, which is quite nice, but not all of them do. But just take a look on Amazon to see if you can get something similar, if that's something you're interested in.
They're so cute. Yes. I'm seeing lots of different terms, including cord collar, the cable protector, the cable saver, and cute cable protector. Oh, I definitely am going to get some of these for sure. These would be a great gift for, anybody who is not super tech minded and is therefore very careful about the strain relief on their cables.
Yeah, precisely. Precisely. One other thing, which I'm going to give a relatively quick shout out to, is the Moft tablet snap. So this is actually on my Kobo Ellipsa. This is not on an iPad. But what I like about this is it pops off, and there's a little sticker that you just put on your device. And I'm very aware that I did not put this on very straight, but that's okay. And you can get multiple stickers, which I quite like, because this sticker is on my Kobo. But here I have a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. And again, I'm guessing those stickers also not on straight, and somebody's going to write in and tell me about that. But it just magnetizes on. And then I have a handy dandy little stand, which means that I can, take this places, but it folds up incredibly flat to the point where, it usually just lives actually in the case with my Kobo Ellipsa. It's really nice. But what I like about it as well is it's got a couple of different angles, but you can also use it multiple ways. So if you wanted to use your iPad or something horizontally, then you'd be able to do that and put it at all the different angles to do whatever it is that you need. I like that. That one is, I think, $34.99. Comes in a couple of different colors. And I believe one of their colors is actually on sale on the Moft website in the US at the moment. This is quite a nice stand, especially for travel, or if you want something slim and you don't really want to have a stand on all the time, you end up with just this little sticker. And I have my Magic Keyboard. And this usually lives in my Magic Keyboard. But when I want to use my iPad in portrait mode, which I do occasionally for document reference, then I could use this, which I do when I'm in the kitchen looking at recipes.
Nice. All right. I'm going to cover some Anker things. We've talked about, and now I've placed it somewhere that I cannot find it.
I happen to have one right here, Micah. Because believe it or not, we're twinsies.
Yes, we are.
We have
indeed
some of the same items.
There we go. This is the Anker 622 magnetic battery. It's part of Anker's MagGo line. What's super cool about this is that you've got MagSafe charging on the front, magnetic charging on the front, with all of it involved here, so that when you stick it on the back of an iPhone, it'll work that way. But on the back is this really cool magnetic stand. So this actually lifts off, and there's a nice microfiber interior. And what you can do is take the end, this will be reminiscent of iPad covers. There's an area where you magnet it to the case itself, or to the battery pack itself. And then when you stick an iPhone on the front of it, then you can actually use it as a stand for the iPhone, like so. But inside of this is a battery. So it is actually MagSafe charging your iPhone while it's on that stand. And what's nice, and what I plan to use this for, is this is a great device to take with you when you travel, because you can plug it in down here at the bottom and then very easily set it on a nightstand, set your phone on top of it, and suddenly you're charging. But then when you're out and about, if you need to quickly top up the juice on your iPhone, then you can plug it in and be able to do so. It's got a little charge indicator, so I can press the button to see the LEDs light up, and then they tell me how charged this device is. And it's just a very clever little device from Anker, given that it also serves as a nice little stand for your iPhone. So you can set it on a desk and be able to see what's going on your phone. I love that about it. And it's just, it's just so clever, so clever and neat in the way that it works.
I'd just like to mention that the USB-C port on the bottom is 2-directional. So it both takes charge in, but it can also provide charge out. So if you've got something that doesn't wirelessly charge that you might need to charge up with you, then you could use a USB-C to whatever cable. And also for size comparison, this is not much bigger than the MagSafe battery pack, but it is considerably more powerful. Like this is 5,000 milliamp hours, and I've forgotten how tiny this one is, 1,460. So Anker is a lot more powerful and cheaper to boot, which is quite nice.
The next thing I want to talk about is the Anker USB-C to 90-degree lightning cable. But honestly, any kind of 90-degree cable is a nice one to have. So I use this every time I do iOS Today. It is a cable. I can't unplug it or else it'll mess everything up. But this is a cable that plugs into the bottom of the iPhone. That's the 90-degree part. And it lets me better manage the cable as I am doing the show, because it sticks out to the side, so I can kind of keep it out of the way. These are great for cars as well. If you've got a car where you need to plug in to be able to use CarPlay, you might find that it's easier if you've got a 90-degree cable. It's just, there are many situations where a 90-degree cable would be far more what's the word I'm looking for? It would be much more convenient to use a 90-degree cable. And so just a reminder that those exist out there. And yes, they also exist in USB-C form. So this is plugged directly into my Mac by with USB-C, runs to the iPhone that then I can pull up to show you on my screen as I need to. And then lastly, the thing I want to mention, and we'll have to just show the photos for this because it's actually in my car right now, and I did not want to detach it, is the Anker PowerWave car mount charger. This is such a fantastic device. So this is for your car, obviously. It can sit on your dash, or you can connect it to a vent, or you can connect it. It comes with all three options, one for your CD player, for folks who don't really use a CD player. And it's got plenty of support on the back of it to sort of hold your phone as you need to. And then all I have to do is thwack my iPhone onto this. It charges my iPhone, but it also lets me have my phone in a place that when I'm using Apple Maps, which is literally all the time because I don't know where anything is ever at any time, then I can see that very easily, very clearly. It's got this nice ball joint so that you can take the whole device and move it to the side if you want to, so that it's in landscape mode versus portrait mode. This thing is great. It also, I've found, does not get super hot, which I've had that issue in the past with the wireless chargers in my car. It still will get warm, and so the best place for it is definitely in front of a vent if you can do that. But if you're not able to do that, as I said, it doesn't get as warm as I've found in the past with some. But just having a handy car charger that all I have to do is stick it on there, that I don't have to do all this extra work of making that happen, has been fantastic. So those are $70 for the Anker 622 MagGo magnetic battery, $18 for the USB-C 90-degree lightning cable, and $40 for the PowerWave car mount charger. Of all three, I would say price-wise, I think $18 is reasonable for that kind of cable, so I'm not going to sort of have to justify that. I understand that the $70 is kind of a lot for a magnetic battery pack, and so I get why people wouldn't want that, but like the value I've gotten out of that $40 PowerWave car mount charger is beyond ridiculous. I love that thing. It's so good, and it keeps my phone charged and makes it so much simpler than having those kind where you like stick it on and then it like snaps to the side and all that kind of stuff, all that messy stuff. It doesn't need any of that. It's a very neat solution for it. So that's why I like that. All right.
Yeah, and
let's
also especially with Anker products, keep an eye out on Amazon for the sales, because they do frequently go on sale on Amazon, and you can get some great deals with that.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to your next ones, Rosemary.
All right. Well, my next one, we're sticking with charging. We're going a little bit bigger though. This is a Satechi battery pack. And what I love about this Satechi is it's got this little white puck in the top. And so, you know, if, for example, you are going away for a weekend, but you're not sure what the charging situation is going to be like, well, you don't have to take an Apple Watch charger with you, because Satechi offer a battery with an Apple Watch charger built into it. So I can just charge my Apple Watch on this battery, which is also a pretty good battery. It's a 10,000, I believe, milliamp hour battery. So it's fairly hefty. It'll recharge my iPhone a couple of times. It can charge an iPad. It's a pretty great solution when you don't know that necessarily you're guaranteed to have somewhere where you can plug stuff in. It also has Qi charging on the front of it, so that you can Qi charge your AirPods, for example. And of course, it's got USB-C to recharge it, and a USB-A plug on it as well to plug something else into it if you needed to. Nice. So you can plug a fair few items into this. And honestly, I got my parents one of these as well, because they hate traveling with Apple Watch chargers. And so this was a good solution for them. Sadechi also make one of those little dongles that you can plug into like an iPad or a USB-C port directly to charge things. But for people going, I don't want to charge everything through a battery. I kind of want like a nice charging solution on the go. Mikah, you were the one that put me onto this, because you mentioned something from Mophie a while ago. And I was looking for an alternative to the MagSafe Duo, because the MagSafe Duo with the iPhone 13 Pro, it doesn't quite fit perfectly. The camera bump on the iPhone 13 Pro basically means that it doesn't sit quite so nicely on the MagSafe Duo, unfortunately, which is, you know, it's not a huge problem, but it's not great. And I was looking around going, is there like a new MagSafe Duo or something? And I found the MagSafe Trio. It's not a MagSafe Trio. This is a Mophie 3-in-1 travel charger. So it's got an Apple Watch charger on it. It's got a MagSafe charger, and it's got a Qi charger for your AirPods or something. But what I like about this is it is just a little, you know, portable charger that you can take with you. It folds up, it wraps up. It's quite nice. And it comes, you know, in a little pouch with a charging cable, a charging brick, and a charging cable. And this is not the same as the Apple folding charging cable, but for people who don't know, UK plugs don't fold. Like that's not a thing over here, but this one, they managed to fold the earth pin so that the earth pin can collapse down, making it take up just a little bit less space. So I'm pretty pleased with this. I've used it a couple of times at home, and I'm going to be using it on a trip actually later this week. But it is unfortunately $149.95, so it is quite pricey. But that said, if you want to be able to charge all the things and just have, you know, one thing that you plug into the wall, and then everything gets charged overnight, then that's pretty nice to have as an option. And honestly, between that and my Satechi battery, I don't think I'll really need to take any other chargers with me unless I decide to take a MacBook, which I probably won't, because I'm, you know, it's an overnight trip. I'll be fine, especially because I've got a great iPad, which I can use.
Nice. All right. Let me just cover a few more, and then I think I will be good to go. I want to talk. So this is funny because Matthew and I used to cover a lot of accessories made by the company that you just mentioned, and we would go back and forth, he and I, on which pronunciation was correct. So finally, I reached out to the company itself and got a video with the pronouncer, so that I promise I'm not combating you for no reason, but the Satechi Aluminum Stand Hub for iPad Pro is what I want to talk about today. This is a really cool device. So it's made of aluminum, and it's got this little sort of piece that folds out. And when it folds out, then you can set an iPad inside of it, right? But what's awesome is then there's a USB-C cable that's built into it that you take and you plug into the side of the iPad. And this gives you access now. So I didn't fully pull it out. It comes up and then sits in front. The iPad sits on here. And then in the back of it, you now have access to HDMI out. You have access to a USB-A style port, a USB-C style port. You've got audio right there. And you have two SD cards, a micro SD card slot and an SD card slot. All of that to turn your iPad into like a full-on computer with this little dock from Satechi. This is, again, the aluminum stand hub for iPad Pro. USB-C, it's the USB-A cable is USB-A 3.0. It's 4K HDMI. Again, the audio jack port so that you can plug in some headphones if you want, and the SD and micro SD card slots. And then it's done up in that nice aluminum so that it really matches kind of Apple's overall design. And I love how this just folds up into nothing. Just this nice little wafer that you can slide into the Inateck travel pouch if you want to, which can be very handy. Next, I will mention two NOMAD devices. First is the case that's actually on my iPhone right now, and this is the NOMAD Sport Case with MagSafe. This has MagSafe support built into it, so I can thwack this onto my MagSafe chargers and all the different places, and they all work fully and completely, so it's all compatible with Apple's MagSafe charging. But what makes this unique, aside from being a really pretty color and also having the machined buttons on the side, which is really nice, is that at the very base of it, there is an NFC chip built into the case that works with a company called, I think it's called, let me see, POPL, Popple. And Popple is this service that lets you set up a card, a sort of online business card for a specific NFC tag. So NOMAD paired with Popple or partnered with Popple to make this possible. So if someone was asking me for my information, I could say, oh, just swipe your phone here, and up would pop this link. And what's cool, and I'll show you, is that I can add or remove different data from my Popple at any time. So right now I've got my number, I've got my Twitter account, my Instagram, and my email. I can add more contact information to that or remove contact information if I want to. I can turn on and off contact information at any time. And there are other options too, including what's called direct and lead capture. Direct means that when they swipe on it, you choose one of these links that it'll just automatically do that thing. Lead capture is kind of a cool feature where if, say, Rosemary and I were next to each other and she swiped the built-in business card on mine, I would then have a pop-up come up on my phone where she could answer her own information and be able to give that information to me as well. So it's an opportunity to exchange versus just being the one way. So a really cool built-in business card right there in your phone, I think, is a really neat trick. And I haven't tried it, but I would imagine that since it's an NFC chip, it's probably able to be used how I want to. But again, I have not tried that, so it might be right protected just to work with Popple. But I like that Popple's there and able to do that for me. So yeah, the iPhone 13 Sport Case with MagSafe. They also make a leather version that has that beautiful leather, Horween leather that NOMAD is known for using, that ages super well. And I went with the Sport Case just because I wanted to have that nice color on the back. But the leather case also does have the built-in digital business card if you want that. And then the other device that I wanted to mention, NOMAD did send me this whenever it was first it was about to launch, and that is the new Base One with MagSafe. This is obviously, it offers the full 15 watts of MagSafe fast charging, so it is completely compatible. But what makes this so cool is just, again, what NOMAD is known for, what it's good for, is how well designed the product is. This is a hefty charger, and that is because they want it to be a hefty hefty charger so that when it's sitting on a table or a desk or what have you, you can lift your phone off of it without it coming with the phone. It's kind of hard to see, but the actual MagSafe charging part of it is raised up off of the top of the glass surface. So it's glass and aluminum, and then of course whatever kind of plastic material is on for the MagSafe charger itself. But it's lightly raised above, so the phone can thwack onto there, and it's easy to kind of tilt the phone and lift it off again without the base itself coming up. As long as you use a 30 watt charger, then you're able to get that full 15 watts of MagSafe charging. It doesn't slide on the desk because it's got nice grippy feet. And of course, NOMAD includes a cable with it that is that braided cable so that you can make sure that it lasts a really long time. But I think there were some sites that whenever they reviewed this, they said, this is the charger that Apple should have made because yes, it does have that premium feel, that premium look. Yeah, it was CNET. The MagSafe charger Apple should have released because of the way that it just stays there fastened to the desk and you don't have to worry about that whenever you lift it off, it comes away. And as I said, that full featured charging is really nice. All right, Rosemary, why don't you round us out with your other accessory picks?
Yeah, so I have one accessory pick left, and I will note that this is perhaps an unusual option, but I think it's something that some people will be pleased to know exists. And this is not an iMac. This is my 12.9-inch iPad Pro on a MagFlött charger, or a MagFlött stand. Sorry, it's not a charger. It does come with charging cables and so on, including it's not just a 90-degree one. It actually bends back around the iPad and around the stand. But what I love about this, and this is a little difficult to demo because usually this lives on my desk, and especially with universal control, it's nice having my iPad on the desk as an extra sort of screen, but it just rotates. So I can have this at 90 degrees vertically or horizontally, and it's got all the tilting and everything built in. If I flip it around, you can see I'll flip it 180 degrees to make it a bit easier. There's a slot in the back, just like there is on an iMac stand, so that you can run cables through there and so on for tidying things up a little bit. So this is the MagFlött by Sargent Pro, and that's from their names, Charles and Jennifer, I believe. And it was a Kickstarter. I got mine. It's delivered. I actually have one in my house waiting for a friend to pick it up as well. And it comes in 12.9 or 11 inches for the iPad's Pro. I believe it may also work with the iPad Air, though. I would double check that if you are interested in this. But I like the fact that this means that I've got an easy way to put my iPad on my desk. It's nice and secure. And it pops off very easily. But what I should note is, and this is very difficult to show without it looking weird, but this interior here, that's a lovely microfiber.
Nice.
And so it's not going to scratch your iPad in any way. So the back of this part here is actually plastic. And then the rest of the stand is a nice solid metal. And it comes and you just screw the base onto the vertical part, and then you're done basically, and that's it. And then you've got a lovely stand for your iPad Pro that sort of kind of looks like a little iMac. But especially if you find you can get everything done on an iMac and you just want a nice way to put it on your desk with, say, a nice Bluetooth keyboard, this could be a good option for you. And it's a little bit taller than some of the other things like the 12 South Compass and so on that I know have previously been featured on the show. And I know a lot of people I would like that as well, but I just find it a bit low. And this, I like the magnet option, and it pops in and out easily and goes back into my Magic Keyboard or onto the Moft tablet snap when I need it to. So I'm pretty pleased with this. It is a solution to a problem that some people don't have, but it's a solution to a problem that I had. So I was very pleased when I found out that they were making this, and then when I got mine.
Yeah, it's really pretty. That's definitely now on my list because of the magnetic ability. That especially.
Yeah.
There's no clamp or anything to worry about. It easily can go on and come off. Yeah. Exactly. All right, folks. With that, we've reached the end of the accessories section. As usual, I invite you all to send your own accessories. If there's one that you're just super jazzed about that you think we should know about, that you love to use, let us know. Up next, we've got the news. It is time for the news segment, and we are creeping ever closer to the summer, which means we are creeping ever closer to WWDC. That is the Worldwide Developer Conference from Apple, where Apple shows off its next rendition of its operating systems, the things we talk about here on iOS. So this is where developers get to know what Apple is working on next and what they should do with their apps to be able to take advantage of the new things that Apple is working on. There are already rumors, there have been rumors even before this, about when Apple could send out invites to WWDC. And Mac Rumors has some information on kind of what we know now leading up to the event. Do you want to talk about that, Rosemary?
Well, right now, all we know is that Apple are being forecast to have WWDC again in June this year. Yay! So the same information we had before, but this time last year, the invitations were going out to people, inviting everybody to, it was an online only event, and we have yet to find out what this year's event is going to be like with regards to in-person versus purely digital attendance and what's going to be released. We'll find out what's being released when we're at WWDC, I guess, because Apple usually keep a pretty tight lid on it until then. So yeah, right now we are just waiting for invitations. I have just refreshed NetNewsWire to double check, and no invitations appear to have gone out yet as far as my news information is available. The Apple news feed is yet to update and say that it's there, which would be typical that they would do it right after we finish talking about the news on the show. But it's yet to happen.
Yes, we shall see. And then Apple is at work in some other ways, too. First with the coaching program, and secondly with the first launch of its driver's license and state ID and Apple Wallet. Tell us about this coaching program. This is interesting.
Yeah, so the idea behind the coaching program is that it's called Apple Learning Coach, and it's a learning program for educators who are coaching teachers to get the most out of Apple technology. So I'm sure many people are aware that the Apple Store has sort of classes and things which you can sign up and go to learn about how to do stuff on your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac. And if you didn't know that, then you should know that, because that's a great free resource to learn all sorts of tips and tricks. But the idea behind the Learning Coach program is specifically it's to teach teachers so that they can do things like use iPads in classrooms more effectively by knowing that they can lock students into one specific application and things like that, as well as managing Apple IDs and so on, making it easy for schools to reset passwords and stuff like that when students inevitably forget them, because it always happens. And basically, they're just going to try and, enable teachers to make the most out of their devices in those device programs that are available. I know one-to-one device programs with the iPad are quite popular. The Chromebook is also very popular. So it was not a huge surprise, at least to me, that Apple announced as part of this that managed Apple IDs are integrating into Google Workspace, so that Apple Classroom and Schoolwork, which are the two apps that are specifically available for managed iPads in education, will also be able to integrate to some extent, though I don't yet know how far, with Google Workspace, which is an interesting turn of events. They're not usually so excited to integrate with Google things, but equally I can see that being a sensible approach for them.
Nice. Then Apple had announced quite a while ago now that its wallet would support digital versions of folks' driver's licenses and state IDs. And they said that there were going to be some states that would be coming out with that, and then over time, more states would jump on. The first state to support this is Arizona. Arizona now lets you import your state ID or driver's license into Apple Wallet and use that as needed. And then also the TSA is accepting the digital version of your ID as a way to access airports in Arizona specifically. There are now more cars than just the Mustang Mach-E and I think a certain BMW that support Apple's car key feature, which is essentially like the digital ID for wallets, the ability to access and control your car using your iPhone. Now, some 2022 Kia and Genesis vehicles also support Apple's Car Key feature, so you'll be able to, again, access and control your vehicle using Car Key on your iPhone, which is just a handy way to not have to remember your keys, use your keys as you need to.
Yes, yeah, it's a similar feature to keyless entry, except I presume that people charge their iPhones and perhaps more frequently than they remember to change the battery in their car key. And also, pro tip, if you have one of those keyless card entry things and you have not changed the battery in it in as much time as you can ever remember, maybe consider changing it, because my dad got locked out of his car a couple of months ago with that exact feature. He put the car key in the car and went to do something and the door closed, and then he was locked out of the car because the battery went out.
Oh, no, that's awful.
So actually, car key could have saved him here.
It could have, yeah.
Dang it. Oh, well.
All right. Then let's talk. There are two things that I'd love to hear about. First, about finally, you folks might be getting, Yeah, UK. I was thinking EU for a second. I thought, nope, not you, but
UK.
The UK might be getting the Apple Card, and then also a little bit about iPhone battery drain.
Yeah. So it looks like the UK may finally be getting the Apple Card, because Apple have done what they seem to be doing an awful lot here recently, which is they bought another company. But this is apparently a credit checking company here in the UK. I have not heard of them before this, I have to say. But it does mean perhaps that we are a step closer to Apple Card and perhaps Apple Pay Cash being available here in the UK, neither of which are. Now, we do have a more advanced banking system, I'll call it, or a more instantaneous banking system, where if I wanted to transfer a friend some money, then I can just input some information online and it'll be with them in 2 minutes from my bank account. And that's pretty easy to do, but it would still be nice to have Apple Pay Cash, just so that, I can send it via iMessage instead of having to, log into my banking app, which, if I'm running an iOS beta, always locks me out. It's always good fun. But hopefully, primarily, we'll be getting the Apple Card over here, which would be a nice bonus, especially if we actually do get similar benefits. We don't really do the same kind of benefits on credit cards over here in the UK as you folks do in the US, or credit card companies in the US do. But we will see. And hopefully, if it does come, it'll be great and wonderful. And if not, I guess we'll just continue with Apple Pay like we already do.
All right. Anything else you want to cover there before we move on to Shortcuts Corner?
I think that is that. Though the battery drain is something to watch out for. If you've noticed friends and family or yourself complaining, hey, my iPad is running out of battery a lot after this latest update, or my iPhone's running out of battery, what's up with that? It might be that you've just installed the update, and it does take a little while, just like after installing a big iOS update. It can take a little while for your phone to re-index everything so that it's fully back up to date. So it may be draining a little bit faster because of that. Of course, don't forget, if your phone is draining battery, or your iPad is draining battery, or your watch is draining battery, or doing any unexpected behavior, try turning it off and turning it back on again.
And with that, we have reached the end of the news segment, which means it's time for Shortcuts Corner. This is the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, the shortcuts expert, provides a response. The first Shortcuts Corner request comes from Jeremy. Jeremy says, I have a question for a shortcut or automation that you might be able to help with. I would like to set an alarm that would turn on the lights in my bedroom and play news throughout my house on my HomePods. I've got one OG HomePod and 4 mini HomePods, or HomePod minis. I can get the lights on through automations and even see where I can get the HomePods to play. What I can't find is something that tells them what to play. I hate to say it, but this is relatively easy in the Google ecosystem. I want to get away from those devices if possible. Any ideas or pointers to what I'm missing? Thanks, and keep up the great show, Jeremy. All right, Rosemary Orchard, I think you've got the answer here for
I
Jeremy.
do
What
indeed.
do we do?
Well, the thing that you need to do is, first of all, I need to be able to show you my iPad, which has just decided to connect, fortunately. So what you're doing, I'm presuming in the Home app, Jeremy, is you're creating a scene. And inside of that scene, you're probably doing things like the lights and so on and so forth. So I'm going to start by creating a scene, which I'll call Test for iOS, so that I can find it and delete it easily later. And then when you add your accessories, you've got different things that you can do. So I'm just going to add a couple of different options here. I'll even add my thermostat. Why not? So with things like a thermostat, you'll be able to tap and hold on it and do things like change the temperature. So I could set that one to say 16.5 degrees, tap on a lamp, tap and hold it, and then you can control, for example, what colors it will turn. And, if you do the same thing with, say, a blind, you can change that as well. Now, HomePods have an option as well where they just play pause. And if you tap and hold, you might see it sort of bouncing a little bit underneath my finger if you're watching the video, but it doesn't do anything there. But there's a section here called Media. And if you tap on this where it says play audio, then it should give you the option, and it's just popped up on my screen, to choose audio. Okay, so if you select pause audio, then that's not an option. Resume audio obviously doesn't give you an option to choose audio because you're just resuming. And there's also an option here for adjust volume only, which can be really helpful. I have a scene which I have activate automatically at 5 o'clock in the morning every day to lower the volume on my HomePod. So if I was listening to something loudly, then when I hit play in the morning, I don't get accidentally deafened and don't make my neighbors upset with me. But when you tap choose audio, then you've got all of the options, including you can go through playlists and so on. So I could pick, say, the pop throwback one. And then if you tap on the plus in the top left or the top right next to the cancel button, you can add that entire playlist. And you can do the same thing with albums, or you can select specific songs, whatever it is that you like.
Are you able to play podcasts this way?
Let me just double check. I don't think you can. Let me just try searching for iOS today, though, because it is searching Apple Music specifically. So it does not have podcasts, unfortunately. It's only got music available to us. But once you've done that, then you get options for repeat and shuffle showing up, which means that you can toggle on repeating and shuffling as is appropriate. So that should do the trick for you there. Jeremy, fingers crossed that solves your problem. And I know that sometimes the Google devices are a little bit easier to use than HomeKit, but it is all at the very least running locally, which means it's a bit speedier. And if your internet's being a bit flaky, it should still work.
There you go. The next one comes from Scott. Scott writes, and this is a great question, is there a way to unschedule focus modes for holidays and vacations? So if you can imagine having a focus mode that works, that's for your work, most days you go into work and you want to make it so that you don't get notifications that are from Twitter or something like that. But maybe I'm on vacation and I don't want to have to manually go in and turn off my focus modes. Is there a way for one to basically keep that focus mode off or turn that focus mode off for that holiday?
There is, and I just need 1 second because it looks like one of my hubs has come unplugged. So I'm going to have to just quickly shuffle around the devices that are being plugged in here so that I can show everybody my iPhone, which is what I actually have this run on all the time. So there we go. I do indeed have an iPhone. So what I've got to start with, I'll just pop into the settings app and show everyone the focus modes, which are here under the notifications, sounds and haptics. Focus is the third option there. So work, I have scheduled turn on automatically from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, weekdays. And that's just one of the automations I have. You can do location-based things and so on and so forth. But if, for example, you don't actually want it to come on when you're on holidays, what do? Well, I leave this here. Okay, I don't change this automation because if I go in and I start, trying to delete these things or uncheck a day, then I'm going to forget and I'm not going to go back and I'm not going to fix it later. So instead, what I do is I open the Shortcuts app and I create an automation. And so I have lots of automations here, of course, but the one I'm looking for is my work automation because I have set something up where I read information out of the UK holiday calendars and I filter it specifically for anything that doesn't include Scotland or Northern Ireland because those holidays do not apply to me. And then I just check if there's anything from those calendar events. Then I turn off my work focus mode. I have a little text option which says turning off work focus, and it puts the information from the calendar events in there. And then it shows me a notification and stops my shortcut. So I could keep running other things after this if I wanted to. For example, I could have other automations in here that would then run if I am doing my work day. But this just means that what happens is the work focus mode comes on and then it goes off and I get a little notification on my phone to say that it's turned off and why it's turned off, just in case I need to debug something.
Oh, that's nice.
And you could use this, you could look for example, all-day events in a holiday calendar that you have, or a personal calendar where you put your vacation days, whatever it is you need. But that is how I solved that problem. So fingers crossed that helps you, Scott.
Yeah, that's very handy, especially getting the notification to let me know, oh, this is why this is happening. All right, up next, we've got a few feedback and questions before we hit the app cap segment. All right, for feedback and questions, Vishal writes in, I am relatively new to the show and love all the info and advice you put out there. I have been a long-time Apple user, and my question is about the camera roll in the iPhone. I have recently scanned in all my old pictures from yesteryears and don't know how to add them into my albums. I was wondering if there's any way to upload all my scanned pictures back into the camera roll. I have a 256 gigabyte iPhone 13 Pro Max with 2 terabytes of Apple One iCloud storage, so space is not the issue. I have searched high and low for a solution, but to no avail. Maybe I'm searching incorrectly. Please, please, please help. Thanks in advance, Vishal. So, Vishal, there are two options here. I'm going to start by assuming one, and then we'll go to the second one. If we assume that you said you scanned in all your old pictures, that sounds like you quite literally used a scanner or some other tool to actually get those photos into from a physical manifestation to a digital version of those photos. So let's assume that you are all in on Apple when it comes to your mobile devices, but for the device that you use, your PC, you're using a Windows machine as opposed to an Apple machine. So if we are assuming that you use a Windows machine, then here is how you do it. We'll, of course, include a link to the support article. But there is an application for Windows called iCloud. It's just called iCloud. You can download it for your Windows machine. Afterwards, you can turn on iCloud Photos in iCloud for Windows, and then you can import all of your iCloud, all of those photos that you've scanned into iCloud Photos, which will then show up on your iPhone. It'll show up in your storage. It'll be everywhere you want. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole thing because the link that we'll include in the chat or in the show notes walks you through the process. But essentially, once you've installed iCloud for Windows, all you do is click and drag those photos and drop them into the iCloud Photos window in File Explorer. But if you don't use Windows, let's assume because you say you're all in on Apple that you use a Mac, and when you say that you've scanned in all of your photos, you've got them saved there on your Mac, or maybe it's on an external drive or something like that, it's even easier. On your Mac, you launch the Photos app, and then you drag that whole folder of the scanned images and drop them onto the Photos app into the library. It will automatically then import them. You'll have them there. You'll have them available. The support document that we'll include has information too about iCloud Photo Library and how you can keep local versions or not. I don't want to add any confusion to that, but Vishal, it's a very simple thing. And of course, right back if you do run into some sort of issue, if you have some of maybe somehow you scanned them in just using your iPhone, and for some reason they're being stored in a third-party library as opposed to iCloud's library, let us know about that. But if you're using a Windows PC or you're using a Mac and those photos are there somewhere, super simple to be able to get those photos into your camera roll on your iPhone just by uploading them to iCloud. All right, this next one comes from Jeff. Jeff writes in, hi, Mikah and Rosemary. Hello, Jeff. I enjoy listening to each week's iOS Today installment and hope you can shed some light on an issue that I am having. I have an Apple Watch Series 6 and use the workout app to record my daily walks. While on these walks, I use my iPhone 11 and AirPods Pro to play a variety of podcasts via Downcast, but I never receive audio notifications through my AirPods Pro from the Workout app, distance travel, pace, etc. The Workout app will announce statistics only via the watch's tiny speaker. My routine is grab my phone, put in my AirPods Pro, which automatically connects to my iPhone, open the Downcast app on my iPhone and start listening to a podcast via my AirPods Pro, start the Workout app on my Apple Watch. If a message or phone call occurs during my walk, they work seamlessly with my AirPods Pro. But the Workout app never plays any of its notifications on my AirPods Pro. Am I doing something wrong? Isn't the Workout app able to route its notifications through the iPhone? Thanks for your time, Jeff. All right. I know you've got the answer to this because I can see it in the show notes. Rosemary Orchard, how does Jeff fix this?
Well, the answer is, first of all, if you haven't tried it, Jeff, please try turning it off and turning it back on again. I mean, turn off your iPhone, turn off your Apple Watch, and turn them all back on again. Just because sometimes these things get stuck. And I did that as part of troubleshooting this because turned out had exactly the same problem. I don't usually bother with the voice feedback, which is something that you need to enable in the Watch app. But that is one of the things that I ended up having to do because it just straight up wasn't working for me. So first of all, there's like 3 steps to this process, or 4 steps, depending on everything else that you're doing. First of all, in your iPhone, in the settings app, in notifications, announce notifications, scroll down, and we're looking for the fitness app, which I've just scrolled straight past. And you need to make sure the announce notifications for the fitness app is on, not off. And I know you're using the workout app on your watch, but that links to the fitness app on your iPhone. And so that's part of the puzzle. And then the next one is inside of notifications. If we look for, it should be the Watch app. Sorry, if you go into the Watch app on your iPhone, you can also control this through the settings on your watch. But I'm going to show everybody on the iPhone because trying to film my watch to do this would be kind of tricky. So again, here we need to scroll down and check. Oops, sorry, I've tapped on completely the wrong thing. Tap on the notifications option and then activity. And make sure that you've got notifications for activity turned on. They're not being sent to the notification center, and that you've got all of the other options that you want. Grouping shouldn't make a difference here to those notifications. And then finally, inside of the Watch app on your iPhone, you need to scroll down to the bottom of your installed applications looking for, or the Apple application, looking for the Workout app, and make sure that you have the voice feedback there turned on so that you get that voice feedback. And then fingers crossed with all 3 of those, it should be fine. Now, I know that you said that you can get phone calls and so on, and that all works just fine. But the only other thing I'm going to mention is if you don't have that option of when music is playing on your phone that you can control it through your watch, I have a feeling that is part of this as well, because I was messing around with my dad's iPhone and Apple Watch this weekend, trying to make sure that I could replicate it, and it wasn't working for him. He had the ability, the remote control for the music settings on his watch actually turned off. And that is something that it appears that you may need to have on for this feature to work. So I have now managed to forget precisely where that feature is because that's the one bit of this I didn't write down. But if you make sure for the music playback controls inside of the settings on your Apple Watch that you can control what your iPhone is doing, then that is another piece of the puzzle. So fingers crossed, that's everything that you need to get that working. And please write back in and let us know if it doesn't work. And if you are in the audience and you go, I know exactly how this thing got turned off and it stopped. It was only talking at me through my speaker and now it talks back through my AirPods again. Please, can you write in and let us know so we can pass that along to Jeff?
Agreed. Please do. All right, folks, I can hear the music. It's time for our app caps. This is the part of the show where we wear caps atop our head to honor our picks of the week. These may be apps or gadgets that we're using now that we think are great, that we want to share with all of you. And in order to show our commitment to these apps or gadgets, we decide to wear fun things atop our heads to prove our passion. Up first is Rosemary Orchard to tell us about the cap atop her head and her app pick of the week.
Well, the cap atop my head is one I have worn it before. I do have it in my regular rotation. It is a lovely knit pink berry with some little gold studs on it because it's cute and it's warm, but it's not too warm, which is good because we are finally, Mikah, in summertime. It is summer. And there's bees buzzing and all sorts of great things, including an update to one of my favorite apps, which I know a lot of our audience members also love, Overcast. Overcast has had a pretty big UI update, which means that it looks a whole bunch different now when you open the app. So you've got some lovely, colorful playlist options, as well as other things. So what happens now when you create a playlist is, as well as having the option to, give it a name and specify, what kind of things should be in there and how they should be sorted and all of that mumbo jumbo that we don't care about. You can give it colors and icons. That's the bit that we all love, right? And what I really love here is when you look at the icons, there's over 3,000 options because Marco has given us the option, Marco Arment being the developer of Overcast, has given us the option of every single icon that Apple offers to developers for use on the operating system. So he's giving you those options as well. So you can do anything you like. So for example, if you have a specific playlist that you always listen to in your car, then you could look for vehicle, you could sort by transportation and look for whatever the most appropriate car is. I think I'm actually going to go with the little monorail there because that's kind of fun. You can select all the different colors that you might like. So I could have a blue car, and that's now my all podcast list, which has updated appropriately. And then if I were playing something from that list, then I could, tap play. And then when I go back, it's got a little border around it to indicate that that's the playlist that I'm currently playing a podcast from, which is a nice touch. Now, there are a few other little things as well. And for example, if you wanted to change the theme of Overcast. So Overcast by default is an orange color. Now inside of the settings theme area, you can choose different theme colors, including ones for light mode and dark mode. So in light mode, I have the darker shade of purple. But then when I switch over to dark mode, I'm using the lighter, more vibrant shade of purple just because it's got a slightly better contrast for me. And it still gives me that wonderful purple feeling. The other thing that I know some people really like, especially those of our listeners who flip back and forth between audio and video, and Overcast is, of course, an audio-only podcast application, is the ability to mark a podcast as listened to. So maybe you started listening to it in audio and then you said, hey, I want to finish this off on video, but you didn't want it marked as, not finished here, and you're a completionist, but you did complete it. Well, now you can swipe and check it off to mark something as done, so that it is indeed marked as finished in your podcast playlist, which is lovely. Now, there's a bunch of other tweaks and fixes inside of here. There's some improvements to CarPlay and things like that. But in general, Overcast just feels a little bit bigger and friendlier and easier to use, as well as perhaps being a little prettier. And for those people with very long podcast playlists, it's even better with very large playlists now, which is, of course, a great feature.
Nice. All right, folks, the cap atop my head is actually a headband wrapped around my head. It was from a pirate costume I bought like 5-6 years ago, and I still have the headband and wear it sometimes when I need my hair out of my face. The app that I want to talk about, it's interesting. This app was suggested by way of Discord, of all things. Discord sometimes will offer free trials or little discounts on products. And they had offered a discount on, actually, instead of a discount, it was a 3-month free trial of an application called PixArt. And I was like, you know what? I'm curious. I'm going to go ahead and get it. I'll grab it and see what it's like. And I did. And it actually ended up being really good and worth talking about. So it is what I will be talking about today. for iOS today. PixArt is an image editing application. It does have that sort of influencer vibe to it, but try not to be scared off by that, because if you're not scared off by that, then you'll get to see all the power that this application has. So this photo is one that I created using PixArt with some of the built-in tools that are there. I took a photo of myself, imported it, and did a lot of different things to it. But what I want to show you instead of that are these replays here. Replays are a way to kind of see how these different images are made. So it can give you some kind of inspiration on how to create different things. So I'm going to tap on this one that has these numbers and choose that. And then you can see that it started with this photo of someone holding up their hand. And the first step that they did was they cropped the photo. Then they added a sticker that is the iPhone number screen for dialing. Then they added the Film 2 filter. And last but not least, they did a little bit of masking with some dust to sort of round out the photo all together. And so what I like about this is that you can get some good inspiration for how to create your own photos with this. And I'll exit this replay. I will close out of this and then hop back in to this just so I can show you what different options are available. So the first thing is being able to crop. You can do a free crop so that if you want to do kind of a custom weird look for a photo, a shape crop. So I could take this and make it into, say, some clouds there. We'll zoom out and crop that like so. Whoops, that changed it back. I didn't want to do that. And now this has this very interesting crop that we can change the stroke on the outside of that. Lots of effects are available, including simple effects for changing the dodge, for some different like bronze colors, some blue colors, all sorts of filters here that are interchangeable. But then there are effects to add noise, to make it HDR, to make it look like old film. You can turn it into, this is how I ended up doing this kind of interesting set of sketches on top of the photo with the sketch feature. And all of these options have lots of different settings that you're able to do with those. The app has a built-in remove background feature, so they make it super simple to be able to take the background out of a photo that can be kind of difficult. Retouch options if you're into that kind of thing. Creating cutouts so that you can sort of layer photos on top of each other. Lots of different brushes. I mean, this has everything. And one of my favorite tools, which is called Fit. And that is if you are trying to, say, upload this to Instagram, you can make it so that it fits on a square. So there's an Instagram square. There's a portrait option because they know the proper measurements that you need to be able to do the portrait version on Instagram, or if you're going to post it to your story. There's a Facebook post, a Facebook cover, a Pinterest post, a Twitter photo, a Twitter header, and last but not least, a YouTube screen grab, that sort of freeze frame that's there. And then on top of being able to get the proper, let's say I was going to publish this to my Instagram story, you can make adjustments to the background however you want. So I could do, let's go with some sort of, that's a horrible green, sort of a pollen green. Let's go, there we go, a nice green. The background could be these different patterns, but check this out. There are all of these other options that are available too. Like, of course, hippie essentials. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Spatial anomaly. Let's go with, I'm trying to find something that really speaks to me. Obviously, flashy and fun pets speaks to me, so we could choose that dog background there. But you could also do an image, and this links with, I believe it's probably Unsplash in the background, which is a tool I've talked about before. And then you can also add a shadow or a blur to the back of your photo itself to be able to add that if you want. And then I would tap apply to make this photo. The export is also great. There are lots of different options for exporting, so you can just save it directly. It has all of those deep links so that you can publish it directly to Instagram or Facebook or what have you. It is a full-featured tool for doing all sorts of fun stuff with photos and stuff that I hadn't even considered. I really like the photo that I ended up making. I've posted it on Twitter and I believe on Instagram now because of how cool it ended up looking at the end. And so, yeah, I had to give PixArt a shout out and give Discord a shout out for offering that trial. And yes, Eric Duckman, it does have the stink of influencer on it. But if you can get past that, you'll, I think, be very impressed with what it is able to do for sure. So check out PixArt. It's free to download. There's an in-app purchase. That's where the free trial from Discord came in that gives you access to PixArt Gold, which has a lot more filters and the background removal tool and all sorts of fun stuff that you're not able to do with the standard PixArt. But yeah, I'll be playing around with this for the next few months just to see if it's something that I want to keep around afterward, just because it's just got a lot in there, a lot of fun, and a lot of interesting features to play around with. It kind of reminds me of Photoshop Camera in that way. With that, we have reached the end of this episode of iOS Today. If you have questions, feedback, Shortcuts Corner requests, you can send those to iostoday@twit.tv, or you can post those in the Discord. I'll mention that more about that in a moment. We record this show live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, so you can tune in at twit.tv/live. But the best way to get the show and to be able to get the show when it's ready is by going to twit.tv/iOS. When you do that, you get access to the options to subscribe via audio or video on any of the social media or the podcast platforms where we are. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We try to be in all the places. This is an RSS feed at its very base, and so you can get us in those different places in audio or video, twit.tv/iOS. Of course, there's another way to get the show and support us and also get an ad-free listening experience. You can do all of that by joining Club Twit. For $7 a month, you head to twit.tv/clubtwit to sign up. You'll get access to every single one of our shows ad-free. Yes, the full kit and caboodle ad-free. You also get access to the members-only Discord server where you can chat with us fellow Club Twit members, or with your fellow Club Twit members, as well as all of us here at Twit, and access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else. Recently, an AMA, a fireside chat, an interview, whatever you want to call it, with the web engineer here at Twit, Patrick Delahanty. Yours truly was the one holding that interview. A really good time chatting with Patrick, and we've got some great feedback about that, where folks are really interested to hear what Patrick does and did leading up to this. So lots of fun there. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Also, if you'd like to support a show individually and you're not really interested in all the extra stuff, you can get an ad-free version of the audio feed of iOS Today in Apple Podcasts. You launch Apple Podcasts, you look up iOS Today, find the audio feed, and subscribe. $2.99 a month gets you the ad-free version. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all of your great work, where should they go to do so?
The best places over at rosemaryorchard.com, which has links to all of the things on all of the internets. And you can also find me in the Club Twit Discord and, of course, on Twitter at Rosemary Orchard. What about you, Mikah?
Oh, I can be found at Mikah Sargent on many a social media network, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to many of the places I'm most active online. Folks, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of iOS Today. I hope that we gave you some inspiration for accessories you want to check out. If not, let us know again the accessories that you love, that you think we should know about. In any case, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you joining us every week here for iOS Today. And Rosemary and I will see you next week for another episode. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Did you spend a lot of money on your brand new smartphone and then you look at the pictures on Facebook and Instagram and you're like, what in the world happened to that photo? Yes, you have. I know. It happens to all of us. Well, you need to check out my show, Hands On Photography, where I'm going to walk you through simple tips and tricks that are going to help make you get the most out of your smartphone camera or your DSLR or mirrorless, whatever you have. And those shots are going to look so much better. I promise you. So make sure you're tuning in to twit.tv/hop for Hands On Photography to find out more.